Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 114 of Buds and Blue Jays, your place for all things related to the Toronto Blue Jays. As usual, I'm your host, Jesse Burrell, and I am joined by my co-host, Riley McConnell. And Riley, I think you and I were both upset about the series sweep against the Boston Red Sox. We actually didn't record an episode, the first one we missed in our years, but we are back now with a vengeance. They got the revenge we needed here in this series against the Chicago White Sox. So, Riley, how are we feeling? Big, interesting series. A lot of stuff has happened since we last talked. Take it away.
So that Red Sox series, we didn't do an episode on it, just way too busy in the summer at this point. We're here talking about the White Sox. The only thing I want to say about the Red Sox series is that was tough. We went from destroying them last year to, I think, getting swept twice. So that's really, really tough. The White Sox, a different story. We're playing a team from the American League Central. Hey, is it as good as it sounds? I don't know. You tell me. We walk out with 3 wins and no losses. That's pretty dang good. This series had everything for us. We had some great extra base hits in timely places, and we had some great pitching from starting pitchers and the bullpen. We played an 11-inning game in the midst of the first game of a doubleheader. Man, you want to talk about a day that had a ton of baseball. Yesterday, man, had a ton of baseball in it. Or sorry, the day before. But man, it's just good to walk out, man. We absolutely, after the series sweep against the Red Sox, the sweep on us, we needed that, man. We came into Chicago and we showed up, man. Plain and simple, feeling 100%. Real good at this point.
Yeah, 100%. We'll get into more of those details in this episode as we go further, including some Blue Jays All-Star stuff, whole bunch of Alek Manoah drama, and maybe some prospect talk as the MLB draft approaches. But first, Riley, this is episode 114. So as we've been doing our last 4 episodes, I've got some Blue Jays related stats that involve the number 114. And I know you love when I bring up some names of the past here. So here are some interesting Blue Jays stats with the numbers 114. In fact, that is Kevin Kiermaier's OPS plus this season, 14% better than league average, 114. 114 is the number of home runs that R.A. Dickey gave up as a Toronto Blue Jay. And it's also the number of home runs that Kelly Gruber hit as a Toronto Blue Jay. And I think I'm going to start doing something new here. We're going to go through each episode and say where they place on each the hitter and the pitcher WAR leaderboard. So number 114 in Blue Jays pitching WAR is Henderson Alvarez, who I think threw a no-hitter for the Miami Marlins once upon a time. And number 114 for the Blue Jays hitter WAR is a Hall of Famer in Jose Canseco. So Riley, a lot of interesting names.
Wow.
114. Wow. Favorite of those?
Well, yeah. So first of all, we'll shout out my mom. Her favorite player was Kelly Gruber.
Yep.
Henderson Alvarez. Yeah, man, that's a very certain. He did throw a no-hitter as well. R.A. Dickey, man. Hey, that's a guy who won a Cy Young. Definitely not a Hall of Famer, but he resurrected his career like no one else, man. I mean, you'd want to talk about a late prime. He absolutely did it. Yeah, 114 for you, folks. I love hearing these stats. It's fresh for me. I love the current names. Kiermaier, 14% better than league average. Kevin Kiermaier, are you kidding me, man?
Way better than expected.
Of course, the throwback names, man. You gotta love that. A lot of great names, man.
All right, well, let's get into the series that was, and let's get into the game recaps here against the Chicago White Sox. Game 1 of this series, the Blue Jays win with a final score of 4-3. The Jays scored 2 in the top of the 4th to get a 2-0 lead. The Jays pitching was pretty solid in this one. Chris Bassitt was actually cruising quite along until he gave up a 3-run home run in the bottom of the 6th to go down 3-2. But then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. took the team on his back like we've been saying for him to do for months now. Did exactly that with a clutch 2-run home run to give the Blue Jays the lead and win this game 4-3. Jordan Romano worked a clean 9th inning, 3 up, 3 down, 3 strikeouts to get the save in this one. In game 2, was originally rained out. It had to be pushed back to the first game on whatever day that was, Sunday, Monday. You know when it was. This game was your old-fashioned pitcher's duel, Riley, as Lance Lynn and Jose Berrios went toe-to-toe, both throwing one-hit gems in this one. In fact, no score was made until the top of the 11th when the Blue Jays made up for lost time and scored 6 runs in the top of the 11th to really seal the deal here. And the Jays ended up giving up 2 in the bottom half, but when you have a 6-run lead, that's really all that matters. 6 strikeouts for Jose Berrios, only 1 hit allowed, his best start of the season, which was good to see. And then moving on to the game 2 of the doubleheader. This one was much more interesting. Jays take a lead in the 2nd, but then give up 3 and then score single runs in each through the 4th through the 7th inning to ultimately clutch into a 5-4 lead. You can thank a double dong from Whit Merrifield in this one, plus a whole solo home run from Matt Chapman. Jays put together 16 hits and only score 5 runs. But a good pitching performance from Yusei Kikuchi, who didn't walk anybody, did battle some hard contact, but the bullpen especially was amazing in this one, as Jay Jackson, Tim Meza, and Nate Pearson all worked an inning and a third each, with only giving up 1 hit and striking out 3, and Nate Pearson earning his first big league save in the process. So after the series, Riley, the Blue Jays stand with a record of 48-40. We are in the third and final wild card spot, tied exactly with the New York Yankees right now. I believe we're a game behind the Astros, 4.5 behind Baltimore, and the Rays have slowly lost 5 in a row. So we're only 8 games back, like I mentioned, in the AL East there, Riley. A lot of stuff happened in this series against the White Sox. Got a standout player performance, a talking point. Where are we going first?
You got 2 ball games on your list in one day. What has to happen in that day, in that first game, is you need a solid pitching performance from that first starting pitcher, Jesse. And we got exactly that. By design, this was one of Jose Berrios' best starts, I would say, of the year. This is a start where he didn't strike out a ton of guys, 6 punch outs, but 1 hit ball, man. This was a soft contact on the ground. Let the fielders do their thing. By the way, our defense was absolutely stellar in this series. I don't know if we'll touch on that more in the episode, but our defense was excellent, played behind Berrios perfectly. Jose Berrios was stellar, man. Like this, I don't know if this is his best start, but he gave us a chance to win that ball game, kept us in. I mean, it went 11. He pitched 7 innings. I mean, if you're rallying, we hit around, and I'm pretty sure we either hit 8 or 9 guys up to the plate in the 11th inning when we won it. So when Berrios's performance may be overlooked, but at the same time too, I mean, you got to look at it and say 7 innings, man, of the caliber of pitching he played in that series. That was absolutely fantastic, man. Really got the ball rolling and really crucial to us getting that sweep. It was a great start to the doubleheader, and yeah, the thumbs up is an easy one for me, man. That's how you start the first game of a doubleheader. It was perfect.
Giving that as well, echoing everything you just said on Jose Berrios, Riley. Game score of 84 from Fangraphs, which is indeed his best of the year. His second best one, Riley, was the last time he faced the Chicago White Sox when they were in Toronto. We had a game score of 81. And looking through the numbers, Riley, the location seems so much better, and the ground ball rate at 66% was the highest of the season for Jose Berrios so far. If this is the guy we are getting, he's going to be a stud for this team. He's going to start a playoff game for this team if we make it. Like, I'm still a little bit nervous sometimes. I do think like the xERA and stuff, that those numbers might regress to him a little bit, but I think we're long past the Jose Berrios we saw last year where it was terrifying watching him pitch. Like, he's here and he's here to stay.
I don't know, like you can say a pitcher's in the zone or out of the zone, but whatever zone Jose Berrios is in, I like where he's at right now. This is the kind of line that you want, not even Jose Berrios to have, any pitcher who gives you 7 innings, lets the defense do the work. And I mean, 1 hit. You look at how to reflect a pitcher's score when you give up 2 base runners in 7 innings pitch. I love a good whip. I can't do the numbers off the top of my head, but that's some doggone good pitching, man. I mean, the doubleheader wouldn't have gone that way had we used more bullpen arms. Like, this was absolutely perfect, man. That's how you start the first game of a doubleheader, and he exceeded all expectations, man.
Yep, and it was good to give the bullpen a little bit of a rest too. When you are playing 2 games in one day, especially when the Blue Jays, as of now, still had a bullpen day in the schedule, it is very important to give your bullpen as much of a rest you can, and it showed because they were effective behind Jose Berrios in that start there. Riley, I want to talk about another player who really stood out this series, and that is Whit Merrifield. And I almost feel bad for the White Sox because the Blue Jays really destroyed the White Sox this series with 2 guys who predominantly spent most of their career in the AL Central. And that was with Jose Berrios and Whit Merrifield, who now has 12 home runs, including a double dong in game 3 here. And his 12 home runs against the White Sox are the most he's hit against any other team. I don't really have anything new to add here. Whit Merrifield just seemed to be doing what he always does. He's attacking the high fastball, which is good. He also hit a good curveball out of the zone. You know, the numbers off the bat aren't extravagant for Whit Merrifield. He doesn't have as much exit velocity as you'd maybe like, but he's just really turned into the complete hitter here. And I don't think there's much else we can say. Put him in the lineup every day, keep him going, and he's a good player to have on your ball club.
He is an excellent player. He is a great complementary piece. Maybe there was a time, Jesse, where you could have made an offense around Whit Merrifield. That might be a stretch, but the tools that this guy has, I mean, he has been around the league. He has, at one point, his on-base percentage has been in the top 10% at one point in his career. I don't know if that's going to be the case for the going forward, Jesse, but it's still nice to know that the pop is there when we need it. I mean, these are timely hits. This is Whit Merrifield we're talking about, who, when he gets on base, is also lethal on the base pass and is a plus on defense. He can play a really good second base, and we've seen him tender some spots in the outfield. Whit Merrifield, for me, in this Toronto Blue Jays club, is an amazing complementary piece, man. I mean, hey, I wasn't expecting a 2-homer game. I think he's got 5 pops on the year now.
He's got 4.
That's great. Got 4. So he doubled his home runs in one game. So, hey, that's good for him, man. Honestly, that's I don't know how many times you'll get a double dong from Whit Merrifield, but hey, man, 2-hit Whit. Doesn't matter where they are, put him in the seats. But that's some good stuff from Whit Merrifield, man. I mean, that's a for sure thumbs up for me too. Another guy who played a ton. You talk about Berrios was a twin. Got another guy in the AL Central there playing with the Royals. So maybe some White Sox things going on there with the thumbs up. I don't know, man. But hey, whoever comes through. We ended up getting the sweep.
Riley, you know who else came through and in a big way in this series, and that is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Riley, I haven't fist pumped or screamed or jumped as much I'm watching a Blue Jays game than I did when game 1 of this series, when Vladimir Guerrero Jr. took the opposite field home run over the right field fence to give the Blue Jays the lead. Like, when was the last time, Riley, the Blue Jays were down late in the game and Vladdy hit a home run? Like, I think it happened once in 2019, and I don't think it's happened since then. And so the fact that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was able to do this really shows good volume. He needed that, I think. I really do think, because we've talked a lot about Vladdy in his first half and how he's still been good, but we haven't seen that that impact that we know that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. can deliver, and he did it here in this series. He also had a double, I think, hit opposite field in game 3 here too. You mentioned that you thought the defense was pretty good in Vladdy. He's turning in to the complete package, Riley, and over his last 10 games, he's got 4 home runs now, 12 RBIs, 3 walks, 3 doubles. He's got a 1,084 OPS. If he's anywhere close to this for the rest of the season, the Blue Jays have their MVP middle of the order bat, and we should be soaring up the wild card standings if that continues.
It's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We asked when, Jesse. We prayed to the baseball gods. When is this going to happen? I mean, hey, better late than never. We're just about at the All-Star break, and now we're kind of getting the taste of what he can do in the clutch. I mean, for once, I mean, it seems like when Vladdy came up earlier in the year and there was runners in scoring position, 2 outs, I mean, forget about it. Honestly, forget about it. But now we're seeing the clutch where he's taking the extra base hits in the clutch and producing numbers. And I mean, hey, yeah, the launch angle isn't perfect. Not everything's hitting to the seats, but he's still hitting the ball hard. He's putting the ball. I think he took an outside pitch to right center field.
Yeah.
Once,
amazing,
if not twice, for the series. You got to put it where it is. I mean, yeah, maybe he's going to change a little bit. I don't know. 48 home runs, and maybe that's his. I'm starting to think maybe that is his career high, Jesse. There's a guy. Hey, I'm going to say it right now. There was another great hitter he reminds me a lot of right now, and that's Edgar Martinez. Edgar Martinez, longtime DH. This is a guy who hit for a very high average, not necessarily a 40 home run guy, but a ton of extra base hits in the doubles category. And I think Vladdy, more or less the same type of buildup. Now, Vladdy, obviously going to be, he's a premium glove at first base, and it showed in the last, I mean, hell, all season, man, all season. But in this series, he really was shining out on first. But for Vladdy's bat in this series, it's a great pick-me-up, man. I mean, we needed that. It's refreshing. This is what this team needs. For me now, my thought was, hey, it's cool that Belt was hitting in the 3 spot there, but now I think, hey, maybe going into the weekend series, maybe he doesn't. Hey, I don't know, man. Let's keep changing the recipe until we really go on a tear. Because I mean, like you said, Jesse, we're 3rd in the wild card standings, tied. We need to go on a tear, man. Let's find that recipe right now. And maybe at this point in the year, maybe it is Vladdy in that 3 spot, man. Hell of a series for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It's about damn time.
About damn time indeed, Riley. And like, I'm looking at the numbers here. You gave a good comp. I think when Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was a prospect, we thought he could turn into like a Miguel Cabrera or an Albert Pujols. You gave him a good comp. If you just look at his batted ball profile, The number one comp to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. this year is Nick Ahmed in 2019. And that kind of makes me go, yikes. But the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. we've seen over the last 2 weeks is more the Vladdy we've grown to know, the known to love, the MVP guy. And I bet he turns into more Edgar Martinez than Nick Ahmed going forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, Nick Ahmed, obviously a great defender, but we know Vladdy can play good defense. It's more about we need that bat, man. We got it now, and we got to keep the ball rolling for him. And yeah, move him to that 3 spot, and let's let him drive in more runs, man, because our top of the order is so good.
Yeah, just a few more notes that really caught my attention in this series that I wanted to bring up here. One, Tim Meza lowers his ERA to 1.24. Now, reliever ERA is tough, Riley, but I think he's only allowed 4 earned runs this year. He hasn't given up a home run yet, and we're getting to the All-Star break, Riley, for Tim Meza. That's electric from your lefty coming out of the pen. Matt Chapman had a big home run too. I like that he hit the curveball and he pulled it to his pull side with some authority. There was some exit velocity on that from Matt Chapman, which was nice to see. And I also wanted to give some credit to Bo Bichette too. Yeah, few iffy swing decisions, but this wasn't his best series out there either. But he still quietly put his nose down and delivered a good, productive series, as you would expect from your all-star shortstop. So just all 3 things there that I was amused by. Anything of those catch your attention?
Well, yeah, of course. I watch Matt Chapman, religiously and his at-bats and how he takes approaches. A lot of strikeouts in the series. I do want to say that. But sometimes don't overcomplicate things. I mean, he wasn't doing well at Lance Lynn with the fastball was just really blowing it by him. And then when I don't know who he hit the home run off of, but it was one of those fundamental things. It wasn't necessarily a hard swing, but you find barrel on the ball when a pitcher misses his pitch. And you hit, like you said, hit it to your pull side and just go through your mechanics. Don't overcomplicate it. Just put bat on ball. Matt Chapman needs to do more of that because hey, man, on the fastball, like pitches over the heart of the plate, he's taking big daddy hacks at and just taking too many swings and misses up there, man. But yeah, that's my take, man. It's good to see him get a double and a homer in the same game, man. Got to boost his confidence a little bit. Still plays some of the best third base defense in the whole entire league, and that you can date that back to whenever. Also, you didn't say it, Espinal had a great game defensively as well. Same with George Springer. I mean, our defense,
Springer's been good.
Defense is not overrated, especially with the outfield we have and even the infield at times. I mean, Bo is really picking up his game, man. It's really good to see a complete team. The only thing we're missing, man, and we talk about these homers and things like that, but I still think this team is so much more as far as the power department. We should be a top 5 team in home runs, or at least top 7, and we're really not at those numbers, not even close. So I guess that's my take, man.
Yeah, and I guess I'll add a little bit of a programming note here. I think our tentative plan here for the rest of, as we get into the All-Star break here, is our next episode, we're going to recap the Tiger series pretty quickly, and then I think we're going to go through like a first half recap of what we saw, what we liked, what were the top storylines in the first half, cover some MLB draft stuff, and then we're going to go into, I think, our trade deadline stuff, what we want to see for the trade deadline, who are the Blue Jays going to acquire, all that stuff, and then we get right back into series recap and series preview mode. So you have that to look forward to from your Buds and Blue Jays feed. Back to this series, though, Riley, the 2 pitching performances we have yet to really talk about. Chris Bassitt on game 1, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Like I said, he was good until he gave up that home run in the 6th. He was cruising until then. And then in game 2 of the doubleheader here, Yusei Kikuchi, 5 innings pitched, 8 hits allowed, 1 home run. His actually tied a Blue Jays franchise record for most home runs allowed before the All-Star break, tied with Blue Jays great Dave Stieb with 22 home runs allowed. So there's that for Yusei Kikuchi. 4 earned runs and 4 strikeouts. Do you have a quick thought on any of those performances?
First of all, I don't know where you find these stats, man. Also, I find it hard to believe. If I was to guess that stat, who gave up the most home runs before the All-Star break, I would have guessed that it was either Ricky Romero or Josh Towers. But that's a whole other story. But, man, again, this isn't Bassett's best piece of work. This isn't Kikuchi's best piece of work. But, again, these guys kind of more or less, there's a lot of good takeaways. Yes, Kikuchi has given up a ton of home runs, and again, he did, and gave up 8 hits over 5 innings pitched. But the control, Jesse, I mean, I'm going to say it, at least he didn't walk a batter. Honest to God.
That is good.
That is a really good takeaway when you're talking about Yusei Kikuchi. And as well, yeah, honestly, with Chris Bassitt's line, man, you get roughed up for one inning and you can't, entirely bounce back. And again, that's a game where the bullpen picks you up and you get off scot-free, which is fine because it's not like Bassitt did a poor job or anything. 3 earned runs over 6 innings. My math tells me that's a 4.5 earned run average.
Math checks
which,
out.
hey, whatever. Hey, man, and you throw Berrios in the mix for how our starters did in the series, and it's a B+ job overall. I mean, it was probably, you look at the last 3 starts over the other 29 MLB teams, Jesse, and I'm sure the Blue Jays are looking pretty damn good right now. And that's out of a guy whose name isn't Kevin Gausman either. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm very okay with how our starters did against the White Sox in their own ballpark.
All right, one more series before the All-Star break as they have the Detroit Tigers coming into town. And Riley, we didn't get to mention this because we didn't talk about it in the Red Sox series, but Alek Manoah is back. Now, Isaac was on the show. He said before the All-Star break, you and I were a little more pessimistic. I guess the problem is, by the time this episode hits you on YouTube and on your podcast feeds, you're already going to know how Alek Manoah does. So we can talk about the decision, whether or not it's a good idea to bring him back up here if you want. But either way, we're going to know how the start goes tonight, Riley. So I just want to have it out here on record. It is 7:04 p.m. on July the 7th. How is Alek Manoah going to do tonight?
Man, okay. First of all, Alek Manoah in like why he's back. As soon as I saw this, Jesse, I related this to one thing. When we were I don't know if you were in school, but it seemed like the wrong thing to do. I don't think teachers were allowed to fail students. You kind of pass them into the next grade, even though they were struggling. So yeah, we'll give you a D+, we'll give you a C- in this mark and that mark. That's kind of what I'm seeing Alek Manoah. Like, we're gonna pass him anyways. I love a big rehabilitation on a guy. This is an absolute, I'm not gonna say a joke, but I don't know if this is gonna work, man. I'm gonna take something off what I saw on TSN Overdrive. Shout out Hayes. Like, I have no expectation, I believe, is what I read, and I totally agree. Took the words out of my mouth, man. I don't know what's going to happen. This is the Detroit Tigers. I mean, let's hope Spencer I hope Torkelson doesn't take him 460 feet to left, man, because that would be the end of it. You want to talk about bringing him up now? If this were me, like, his leash is so short, like a finger's length, man. You want to talk about a short leash? There is no way that you let him just get into trouble, because we still need to win ball games, Jesse.
We do.
This isn't go out and try something, man. We're in a dog fight in a series that we should be. Again, I'm going to say it. This is a series we probably could sweep again in the American League Central. No disrespect to the Detroit Tigers. Their organization is in a different state than the Toronto Blue Jays right now. But hey, if Manoah's on this team, we need him to perform. We need him to do Alek Manoah things and not screw around. And I'm talking like you got a bases loaded jam, no outs in the second inning of tonight's game. And like, I might just flake out of the game. Like, I don't care. Like, if he gets out of this, good for him. But that kind of stuff should not happen right now. Whatever kind of, repairs he made and things like that. I think he made one good start the whole damn time he was down there. And yeah, they were blaming stuff on, oh, it's hot. Yeah, this is a kid who was from Florida,
right?
And he pitches in the Florida Complex. The Florida Complex League, and you said, he pitched in Virginia. Well, whatever. Like, East Coast, like, you move up a couple states. Like, this is a guy who should have it down pat, and yet we're still going through this. So, Jesse, yes, I hope he does well. But again, my expectations, if I turn on the score and it's 4-1 Tigers in the top of the 5th, I'm not going to be surprised, because that's just how this season has gone. Show me otherwise, Alek Manoah. Honestly, please show me otherwise.
That's what it's going to be, Riley. It's either going to be one or the other. Either Alek Manoah is going to go into Detroit and is going to throw like 8 shutout innings of 2-hit baseball, or he's going to give up 8 earned runs over 3 innings, and it's going to be like that. I feel like there isn't going to be an in-between. Now, I say that, and then I also think, like, what's likely going to happen is Manoah will give up like 3 or 4 runs in the first inning, and then he'll settle down. He'll pitch 4 shutout innings after that, and it might be that 4-1 score in the top of your 5th that you're talking about. I think might be the most likely explanation for Alek Manoah, but Mostly, I want to see what's under the hood. How does the slider look? Is he throwing more strikes than he's throwing balls? Do the mechanics look out any different? That's what I really want to see, and I guess we'll dive into more of that next episode.
Jesse, and I get what you're saying. Like, hey, give up 4 runs in the first, but for me, that's it. In the first inning, like, he's not coming out. He might go 2/3 of an inning. Like, that's it. Like, my leash is so short because, Jesse, like, hey, I love Bassy. Isaac Bass, friend of the show, been on the pod. Like, he knows his ball. For a guy that never really was around the game, he knows ball. I love his optimism behind Manoah and everything like that. This is a huge surprise move for me, and I really don't know how this is going to pan out. If it works out, then the Blue Jays look like geniuses. If not, like, it's back to square freaking one. And like, you can't, when we're fighting this hard in our division in these wild card spots to maintain position, not gain. Right now, Jesse, we're still trying to maintain. Other teams have to lose in our division, which is not happening, which isn't happening. I mean, we gotta pull off 3 wins against the Tigers here, and it starts with Manoah. And man, I just want him to salvage something, and it's got to start with him, man. I mean, he's coming back earlier than expected, and I just hope that he has something for Detroit because he's gonna need it.
I will say, Riley, he did make it through the first inning without allowing a run. So a little spoiler alert here for Alek Manoah. He's not giving up 4 in the first. Riley, we do got to talk All-Stars because the Blue Jays are sending 4 people to Seattle this year. Bo Bichette making his back-to-back appearances, or sorry, his second All-Star appearance. He becomes the second Blue Jay shortstop to make 2 All-Star games since Tony Fernandez did it. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to his 3rd straight All-Star game. Kind of no surprise there. Whit Merrifield, which might have been a surprise, who I was kind of beating the drum for to get him to the All-Star game, will be there for his 3rd All-Star game, 2nd or 3rd, one of the 2. And then Kevin Gausman, as expected, is going to the All-Star game as well. So last year we had 6. This year we have 4, but I think 4 well-deserved All-Stars for the Toronto Blue Jays this year.
I think it could have gone either way. I know that you were less on Romano's page than I was for getting him to the All-Star game. I love the stat of saves.
And he leads the AL in saves. He does.
I think that Jordan Romano is an All-Star closer. He has that title. It's a travesty that Bo Bichette is not starting in the All-Star game. I'm really glad for Whit. I'm glad Vlad's there for a 3rd consecutive year. Did he deserve the spot of starter? He's going to get in that bat. And Gausman's getting inning pitching. Like, there's no question about that. But you get Bo Bichette into that All-Star game because Bo Bichette's the type of player that can take home an All-Star game MVP with how he puts together hits. Bo Bichette, I'm not saying I never have picked an All-Star game MVP. And if I did back in the day, I'd probably just choose Ichiro. But Bo Bichette is the type of guy who could win an All-Star game. Like, he could string together 3 hits like that, man. Like that. In 3 plate appearances. I don't know if he'll get that off the bench, but hey, he got snubbed of a starter. Good for Whit. Vladdy, Gausman in their, I would say, rightful spots. And other than that, they nailed it. Yeah, 4 All-Stars. It doesn't seem like a lot, but like, hey, Bo and Gausman is probably the 2 most deserved All-Stars. Gausman could have made it as the starter in the All-Star game. Like, yeah. You could have made a case for that, but the bigger case, Bo got snubbed, whatever. Get him the All-Star game MVP.
I will say, a little criminal that Kevin Kiermaier, who might be one of the best defensive outfielders in Major League history, has still never made an All-Star game. That's a little tough for Kevin Kiermaier, who honestly, on his defense, might have a Hall of Fame case, but probably not because his bat hasn't been there. But very good player. It would be nice to get Kevin Kiermaier 1 at some point in his career. Riley, we're running out of time here, but I do have a couple injury updates I wanted to notice you on. Hyunjin Ryu was actually going to make his next rehab start this Sunday in the Florida State League. Chad Green is scheduled to throw a live bullpen session. Both those guys recovering from Tommy John surgery. It seems like we're going to see both those people coming in the second half here. And Adam Simber, still not throwing, but he is with the team right now, so I think he might get some time during the All-Star break to rest and recoup before beginning a rehab assignment for Adam Simber. Do you have a major takeaway on any of those, Riley?
Yeah, I'm gonna. In one hand, I hold Chad Green. The other hand, I hold Simber. I mean, like, that's a no-brainer for me. I mean, hey, there was a time where Adam Simber was a really effective relief pitcher. I'm kind of over that, man, and I really want to see what Chad Green can do for the Toronto Blue Jays. I've always thought Chad Green had deadly stuff. One of a guy with not the biggest of frames, always throwing high velocity. Don't know if he touches 100, but 98, 99, definitely not out of the question. He's a guy who almost is very relatable to Jordan Romano as far as the pitches they throw, location, speeds, everything like that. Like, why not? Even if he isn't in the high leverage roles right away, I mean, he will be a tough guy to compete with.
And I think I remember when we signed Chad Green in the offseason, we recorded an episode. I think he hasn't allowed an earned run at Rogers Center ever in his career. And pitching for the Yankees for all those time is kind of wild. So it'll be excited to see him. And I'm curious about what the comebacks from Hyun-Jin Ryu and Chad Green mean for the Blue Jays during their trade deadline acquisitions. But I think we'll get into that in our next episode later this week here, Riley. That'll do it for episode here today, guys. Everyone make sure you follow us, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Pray, please, for a good Alek Manoah start tonight and all that stuff. Anywhere you can find your podcast, you can find us at Buds and Blue Jays. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. Riley, was there anything else you wanted to make sure we add before we call it an episode here?
Jesse, you nailed it in pretty much famous last words. Alek Manoah got out of the first inning. We're not going to talk about the game. You guys listening probably already know the results. We'll talk about it in the next episode. We'll probably lead off with it. In fact, I guarantee listeners, viewers, that we will start the episode with Alek Manoah, regardless of how it goes. So Jesse, let's turn on our TVs. Let's turn off the pod and let's pray for this to turn out right for the Blue Jays at a time that we need it, man. We are needing this, Jesse.
All right, I'm with you guys. Enjoy the game, and we'll be back later to recap the first half of the Toronto Blue Jays later this week. See you guys then.
Thanks, guys.